we're
remove the pressure from the Fed
to cut.
Be active, exactly, because we have that extended deadline on trade there, because the ECB may be considering fiscal stimulus.
You could see where the Fed could make the decision either to cut or stay neutral. And as long as I think it really would come down to the commentary coming from Mr. Powell afterwards. I really think that, Mel. I mean, if they stayed neutral, did not cut, but then he projected out why they made those decisions the right way, because he's had two big stumbles. He had the one back in December, and he had the one more recently. So he's had the big stumbles. Can he stumble again? He doesn't have room to stumble again. If he does, the markets will react in a negative way.
Can tomorrow be a stumbling moment in your view, Carrie?
Yeah, I think it's possible, but I doubt that there's going to be anything about which the market will say, oh my God, we get nothing that we want. It's unlikely that he's going to be so firm in his commentary that the market will take away from it disaster, we're never going to get any cut, or think we're going to get everything we want. I would say these people are very good at speaking diplomatically without really letting you know what
How would you
they're
handicap tomorrow then, Surat? What do you think?
I honestly would say you're good chance of a rate cut, and then basically say, look, we have to see what the data is going to bring in, because the trade issue is still out there, globally is still out there. And to your points, everybody's brought up, the fiscal stimulus could come out. Europe could kind of, if it starts turning around, if things get better, then the Fed does not want to go to 50 to 75 cut, and then all of a sudden be in a position where if the 10-year goes back to kind of where we've seen it in the last 6 months, now do we need to raise again, right? So I think they have to be very careful. Plus, they get all this rhetoric from the White House. So I think that there's a lot of pressure on them to kind of, I think, just be neutral here.
Just confirm what the markets are expecting is what it sounds like.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Let's move on here. Joe, you had mentioned Boeing in those headlines. Boeing did move on the back of these headlines. The company planning to increase production of 737 jets to 57 a month in February 2020. This is according to reports citing sources. And this is, of course, if regulators approve the embattled 737 MAX to fly in the fourth quarter. They also say it is possible that they move back to record high production by June of 2020. And we see there the stock is up by 3.6%. Weiss yesterday jumped in on Jim Lebenthal's bandwagon buying Boeing here. Where do you stand on this one?
When we talk about the pressure on Chairman Powell, you got to think there's an awful lot of pressure on the regulators here too, Mel, because these are hundreds and thousands of jobs. And obviously getting Boeing back on track would be big into the election year. So like I say, pressure on regulators or pressure on the Fed, these regulators are going to be under severe pressure.
Why big into the election? Why does the election factor into Boeing?
Because it's jobs, because Boeing is the largest exporter in the United States, because they're one of the largest companies in the world. And the fact that they've been on hold for most of this year, Mel, with their biggest, newest plane, the fastest selling plane of all time at Boeing. I mean, these aren't like, this isn't a secondary thought. This is their biggest, like I say, hottest ticket. So for them to get out there again with this would be big.
But if the administration gets it wrong, it's going to be really wrong.
I don't think it's the administration. I think it's the regulators.
The regulators.
Right.
Yeah, but they got it wrong the last time. So Boeing got it right. I mean, who knows who exactly is to blame, but there were two crashes. And they're going to make sure that as best they can guarantee there won't be any crashes, and that's going to be paramount. So buying it now because the stock is down and because of all the reasons you cited are enough to sort of make the trade. I'm not sure that if the stock moves up 10%, I would want to stay in that trade.
Joe?
I think ultimately it comes down, people are going to get back on the plane once it's in service.
Really?
I don't think people, I don't think we know the answer to that.
It goes in service December. You fly a lot. You're going to fly 737 MAX? You're going to be the first one to get on?
Yes.
You're going to wait? You
I
are.
will.
I'm with you.
I will.
Yeah, really? I'm with him. And I fly all the time as well. Joe and I are in the air. John's in the air.
I would do it too, but I believe they're going to rebrand it. I don't think it's going to come out as maybe the MAX initially, but it'll be some other different.
Some people will think maybe it's a different plane.
Exactly, and
because just to go back, if they're approved to fly in Q4, that's software. It's not that there's a structural and we need to change the body of the plane. That's more problematic.
Right, sure. And so these headlines, you know, nodding to this possibility that they resume record production by June of next year. Does that all of a sudden move up the time frame where you believe Boeing will actually recover? I mean, 446 or so around there in January, that was the all-time high in the stock. Could we move back? If you remove that overhang of the 737 MAX, you get back to record high production. Bam, are we back there?
So here's the other thing that you got to think about. Think of this in the macro picture, right? So here we're talking about global slowdown, U.S. doing fine. Are the orders going to be there next year if this happens? So the
They're already there, though, right?
Their
backlog is
the industry is notorious.
Well, they
for
could
that.
be, but then so you're O'Leary over there at Ryanair. You're O'Leary over there, and all of a sudden he has mouthed about he needs big discounts.
Right.
I think you'll see that, Surratt.
Yep.
But as far as him stepping out of line and then letting Air India or anybody else who's in line with him leapfrog over him because he canceled, I don't think he can afford that.
But what I think you're seeing in the stock reaction is the market's telling you that it's actually going to be okay.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
So one way the stock market's saying the economy is going to be fine because Boeing stock price is going up, but the other way the yields are all going down because globally we have a slowdown. So somebody's going to be right here. It'll be interesting to watch.
So as a former airline analyst, I will tell you there has never been a recession during which companies, countries, buyers do not cancel airplane orders. They just do it. That's what happens. They run out of money. They can't borrow. Now, what we've got for Boeing is a company that for the last 5 years, until recently, did not act like a cyclical business at all. It didn't act like a typical industrial. Will it start to have that type of cyclicality ever again? Maybe not. But that's one of the risks that are in the stock. It was not a cheap stock when it was at its all-time high at all. It was a very expensive PE stock. Great company, great cash flow. But let's not act as
So you don't think it returns back to its glory days of
Well, it might,
446 or 440s.
Yeah, you can never say never.
Well, you know, everybody started doing a different valuation level. Everybody loves to do this in these type of circumstances, and it was all
Because
about
it's
free
different
cash
discount.
flow. Right. It was free cash flow, forget PE for a while for Boeing. That's why the 446. I think people will refocus, look at PE, and add the cash flow into there, and maybe 446 is a little pie in the sky. Maybe it's somewhere in the 400 range, though.
All right. Let's get to Apple now. The tech giant reportedly getting ready to unveil an iPhone Pro, as well as upgrades to the iPad and a larger laptop. It's usually just around this time that Apple announces a product event. The stock has had a great run so far, up 10% in the past 2.5 weeks. Just 2.5 weeks, 10% gain for Apple. And you know what this does in terms of all these new products? If they in fact do come out, if the reports are in fact correct, it adds to sales in that quarter.
Yeah, and it's of course not going to be the 5G phone that a lot of people want, that I don't really care about as much as some people, I guess. But it won't be the 5G this time around, Mel, but September 10th, that's what a number of websites are saying is going to be the announced date for this iPhone Pro and so forth. And I think it's a very positive thing. And since we have looked at the breakdown back to August 4th or something like that, and the market had those two very turbulent weeks, up 800, down 800, you know, back and forth across those 2 weeks. This just kept climbing, as you just said. And so to put on, you know, $16, $17 like that out of Apple in the midst of all that volatility told you that there were people buying not just Apple, Buffett, and the algos. It was a lot of institutional buying that thought it was cheap just below 200.
Remember last year's holiday quarter for Apple? Not a good one, right? Not it had trouble in China. You know, it's interesting the timing of this, because this could really, they bridged that sort of lull period that people thought might happen because people were waiting for the rollout of the 5G. And this could also help offset any sort of softness for any decline that we might see from China, which is also an issue this year.
And also, I think they're getting ahead of potentially having margins be lower. That's, I think, one of the biggest overhangs on this stock. And that's why when the trade war issues come up again, it's everybody's focused not on the revenues, it's the margins. That's where, I mean, you've got a company that's a software company in a hardware shell. So that's where I think the negativity comes in. So this is one way of coming ahead of that.
Yeah, Pete?
Yeah, it's amazing because we still talk about the phone all the time, and I know why, obviously, the percentage of what that is for sales. But when you look at wearables and you look at the services, that is the growth area. That's what everybody wants to focus on. That's where they get margins, too. So that's the areas that I think we still need to focus on, Mel. And when you talk about the watch and some of these other products and everybody says they're not innovative, well, I disagree. And I think they've gone on the right path for growth. And they're starting to get into people's psyche that it's not just the phone. It's more than just the phone. But the phone is still a big part of what everybody wants to focus on. And I think the real drivers are those other drivers where the growth is right now.
And of course, as we've seen this week, companies that get consumers to spend money on them, those stocks have been reacting positively. Apple is a consumer company. It's, well, as you say, it's software and hardware. It's also a consumer company. And that business, with the help from the president about the likelihood that they'll push out tariffs that would affect their business on electronic products. That's going to be a positive for them. People keep spending a positive, but they also need the China deal.
I think that's one of the biggest catalysts. There was the concern that this would be weaponized in the trade dispute with the Chinese. But they clearly seeing the president with Tim Cook gives the message to the market that that's not going to be the case. And if that is not the case, again, then you could go back to looking at the fundamentals of this company, the incredible buyback program that they have, and the products that others are citing here. And it's a company that you want to own.
Are we just putting off the inevitable, though, in terms of thinking about the impact of tariffs on Apple? I mean, right now they have until December 15th, right? And thanks in part to Tim Cook picking up the phone and dialing President Trump directly because they have such a wonderful relationship, according to the president. But that's December 15th. And how much power will Tim Cook actually have to call him up again and say, you know what, we need past December 15th. we need to go out till, I don't know, March or, you know, whatever time frame he has. I mean, are we just sort of delaying, Pete?
Well, we have been. We've been doing that, though, right? I mean, we continue to kick this thing a little bit further out and buy a little bit of time. And I think as we get closer, obviously, to those kind of days, we get into December. Yes, I think that if there's not something resolved, they're going to try to work on trying to kick it out a little bit more. And I think the relationship, the president, we talked about this yesterday. Yeah. I love the fact that at least they sat down and he was listening to Tim Cook. Had dinner, had a great dinner, McDonald's probably or whatever they had. And it was fantastic. and they probably figured out a few things. But I think the president needs to hear from these guys, whether it's Boeing or Apple or whomever it might be. He needs to sit down with these folks and absolutely hear from them.
So what are they seeing? To CEOs, please pick up the phone and call the president.
Absolutely. Satya Nadella, give them a call. All of them. Yes.
I think you're absolutely right, because it's the consumer at the end of the day that's going to end up paying the excess, and you know that's the cost. And that's the cost of the economy, because if the consumer can't keep the economy going, we already know that industrial companies are not doing it.
Think about the last 2 weeks. What's the best communication that we have gotten from the Trump administration? It's been, oh, yes, we have spoken to Tim Cook, and we've also spoken to the bank CEOs. We spoke to Brian Moynihan. We spoke to Jamie Dimon. As an investor, those are the type of conversations that you want your president and your administration to have with the business community. This is an administration that was elected on the belief that they were going to be a business-friendly administration. Okay, we have to go out and continue to accentuate that message to investors.
All right. Let's hit electronic arts here. Shares are currently trading in a bear market after falling almost 30% from recent highs. But value investor here, Sarat, says the pullback is a buying opportunity since the company is well positioned to drive growth as the video game market shifts to digital downloads. Explain.
So stock is now trading, if you take out the cash, at 17 times earnings. It's a double-digit growth. 50% of their revenue comes from FIFA. And their movement now for software is to subscription. So all of a sudden, your whole revenue model is shifting. You're getting money paid on a monthly basis. You have great games coming down the road, including Madden, at a market multiple that's growing double the rate of the market, with this positive cash flow in a time where you want companies with positive balance sheets. So I think the opportunity here, the stock's down 30%. We've initiated a position in electronic arts, kind of playing the whole gaming as we go forward. And the more games come out, the better they do.
Look like a value play?
I think it's a good trade. And we owned EA, and we owned it during the wrong time.
Right.
You know, 2 field launches, and the market really hated it. They've got FIFA and they've got Madden. And, you know, if you've got that as your base and then you can build onto something else, I think that's a reasonably good trade here.
All right. We got to take a break. Here's what's coming up on the Halftime Report.
Give me some slack. Why one firm says now is the time to buy the stock. It's our call of the day. Plus, the investment committee is ready to answer your questions. To reach us, go to cnbc.com/halftime or tweet us at Halftime Report using the hashtag AskHalftime. Stay with us. The Halftime Report is back in 2 minutes. This CNBC program is sponsored by Payden and Regal.
Hemorrhoids. You talk to your GP, but you don't really get anywhere. Because the NHS has limited surgery for hemorrhoids, so you go on suffering in silence. Okay, maybe not so silent. It's time to speak to Xroid. They specialise in a new, fast, safe and effective procedure for hemorrhoids with no downtime. And the procedure takes just 30 minutes or less. Don't be one of the 8 million people in the UK suffering in almost silence. Get back to what you love doing. Xroid. Be kind to your behind. For free advice on hemorrhoids, text KIND to 81156.
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. Charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
Live big and spend less on the brands you adore. And dine by the waterside. Who could want more? Lap up the savings as much as the view. With Ted Baker, Hackett, Nike, and Coach too. Lock Fine and Five Guys make it a date. You can shop, meet, and eat every weekday till late. So sit back, unwind, and let style lead the way. And give yourself a different day. At Gunwharf Keys. Waterfront outlet shopping.
At the Bank of Antandek, they're looking for a mascot.
We need an icon. Something that says high flying to all our mortgage customers.
Like a falcon or a stallion.
Or even better, a parrot. Check it out.
Meanwhile, at Santander, they're concentrating on helping customers find ways to take years off their mortgage with their overpayment calculator. See what's possible at Santander.
All applications are subject to status and our lending criteria. Your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sue Herrera. Here's your CNBC News update at this hour. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau ahead of the G7 summit. He says it is wrong that China is detaining 2 Canadians, and the Trump administration is intent on aiding in their release.
Please do know that our team is focused on helping those 2 Canadians be released. China needs to honor the commitments it's made to the world. And it's our expectation they'll do so, and we're working on it diligently. It's wrong that they're being held.
Global outrage over the fires raging across the Amazon. More than 70,000 fires are burning in Brazil's rainforest. Officials say wildfires have surged 83% so far this year when compared to last year. Brazil's president enraged environmentalists by making unfounded claims that organizations started the fires out of anger that he cut their funding. Here at home, the Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers causing quite a buzz on Twitter. The Packers tweeted out videos of Rodgers decked out in denim and sporting a bolo tie as the team arrived in Winnipeg for tonight's preseason game against the Oakland Raiders. That's the news update this hour. Melissa, back to you.
I thought he wore it well. I don't know.
I thought he did. With the shades.
That's his real stash.
Yeah.
With the nice shades, the aviator glasses, they looked good.
I thought it's a look that not many people can carry off.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury. That's exactly right.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, that's true.
No, that was for Sean.
That was a good one. Good one for Sean, our producer. Thank you, Sue Herrera. Let's get to Slack shares here. Giving up earlier gains, still fractionally higher after a bullish call from MKM Partners, the firm initiating Slack with a buy rating and a $40 price target, calling for nearly 25% upside from here. It is our call of the day. Joe, what do you make of Slack? You know, the knock, if there is a knock on Slack, is that people always thought that somebody else could come in and do the same exact thing.
Well, that would be Microsoft Teams or Alphabet or potentially Facebook. So the competition risk is there for this company. The analyst community likes the stock. The 12-month price target average is somewhere around $37. You've got 7 buys, 8 holds, and only 1 sell. So this note today, it is not a surprise to the investment community. In fact, the stock is not trading very well off of that. I think the high for the day was somewhere around 32.80, and it's fallen below 31. Longer term, this is a stock that can find its trajectory to the upside if it is able to transition a lot of its customer base, which is using the free model, and getting them to be paying the premium that a lot of the instilled customer base for Slack is paying now, which on an annual basis somewhere around $100,000. So if you're able to get comfort in the coming quarters that they're able to convert those free customers, then I think you're going to see the acceleration in the stock. Wouldn't sell it here. But I think you need to have that confidence in hearing that message.
I wouldn't own it here. I don't like their path to profitability.
Look on your face.
Well, the path to profitability looks bad. The daily active users from Microsoft has already surpassed them. This is a company, if you take a look at the chart, all it's done is going down, 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 down. So when will they make money? We don't know the answer to that, right? I mean, we look at this company and we're like, they even mention in this article, they say, or in this analyst review is, hey, we look at this thing and the valuation might scare you. Well, it should. I mean, at some point, they've got to prove that they have that path to profitability, and we don't see that right now, and the competition is there.
That's a good question, and that is one that we will pose the analyst himself at MKM Partners. We've got him on Power Lunch, so tune in for that interview. Option bulls betting on retail in the materials space. John and Pete have those names and those trades for you next. First, a check in S&P sectors as we head to break. We'll be back right after this.
What if progress had stopped here?
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. Charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
Dad, I'm bored.
Why don't you help me water the garden?
Don't worry, this summer we've got loads of exciting activities to keep the kids entertained. How about you go explore the Rainham Marshes and have a teddy bear's picnic?
Yay!
Look online for Asda Tour de Fun to find amazing walks here in London. From art trails to long distance. All powered by Sustrans, a registered UK charity. Go discover your fun side with Asda.
I didn't choose you, you chose me. When you broke from the crowd and pawed at my knee, soon you'll be feeling right at home. You'll be a bit unsure, but you're free to roam. What's good to chew? What's nice to nibble? Wet food, dry food, tin food, kibble? You might sometimes be cheeky, not always wise, but I know I found love in those puppy dog eyes. Join the free VIP Puppy Club from Pets at Home for advice and exclusive offers, including 10% off your first shop in store. Visit petsathome.com/puppy club or join in store. T's and C's apply.
Phew! Currys PC World Mega Deals are hot stuff. You can save up to £150 on Samsung fridge freezers, all with a soothing 5-year guarantee. Starting from just $379 for the RB29. Or upgrade to an American-style model with £150 off the RS8000 and chill in the heat with its water and ice dispenser. A hot mega deal for a cool $9.99 at Currys PC World.
G'day. Hi, it's Marcus from Dudley.
Marco?
Listen, I'm trying online dating for the first time, but no one's swiping right.
No drama, Marco. All you need is a bit of an image upgrade.
Try adding a few props to the old profile pic.
A cute puppy dog.
A book of poetry.
Or an orphan you saved from a knife-wielding shark.
And you might want to delete the bit that says you're looking for an open relationship.
Really?
Yeah, that's a convo you can have on date 3.
Oh, great. I'll give it a go.
No worries.
Foster's. Good call.
Drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.
As he turned the corner, it hit him. A smell so sweet, orchestral masterpieces could be composed about it. But what could it be? He had to find out. So with his nose leading the way, he wandered towards the paradise. He turned a corner and stopped. What lay before him was the most beautiful sight he could ever have imagined. A new bakery. And to think, he'd never have come across it had he taken the car. Walk, cycle, discover. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Welcome back to the Halftime Report. We want to call your attention to what's happening right now with shares of Overstock.com, which are spiking up massively towards their best levels of the day so far. This after CEO and founder Patrick Byrne says that he is resigning from the company as CEO and a director of the firm. This stems back to comments made about a week or so ago with regard to his involvement romantically with now convicted Russian spy Maria Butina. The news of those particular statements sent the stock tumbling over the course of a few days with regard to his involvement there. They have now been trying to recoup some of those losses in a big way so far today because of these headlines of Burns' resignation. So a lot of controversial comments from a fairly outspoken and controversial CEO figure in his own right in Patrick Byrne. And that's the reason why, Melissa, there's a lot of volatility upside today in those shares of Overstock.com. We'll bring you more as we know more here. Back over to you guys.
All right, Dom, thank you. Dom Chu. Well, options traders are betting on one retailer ahead of earnings. John and Peter over at the Telestrator with the trade and much more in unusual activity. So, Pete, kick it off first.
Well, kicking it off, Mel, we look at Bed Bath & Beyond. Now that you can look at this chart, you see it. It's absolutely just looks as ugly as it could possibly look. Although it started to make a little bit of a turn recently down here. And earlier today, stock was trading about 40 cents lower than it is right now. It was trading $8.48, somewhere in that range. And we suddenly saw all kinds of buying coming in. They were going in the very first week of September, and they're buying the 9-strike calls. And they bought a nice, it was about 11,500 at the time. Now it's pushing towards 12,000 on these, about a 20 to a 30 cent option. Risk reward, we always love those kind of trades. So I loved what I was seeing here. I bought this. I'll be in this for about a week because that's about what I have, about 2 weeks maybe to be able to hold on to this thing. But this one I like a lot. I got one more for you as well. I got Corning. Now, Corning hit right out of the gates this morning. Very, very actively bought. And you can see, once again, a stock that was trading, call it in the middle, low 30s right in here, and then this severe drop that it's seen recently. Well, maybe there's a little bit of recovery in front of it right now because they are buying 15,000 of these October 28 calls. So they're right at the money. They're directly going right at where this stock is trading. And I love seeing these. They're going for about $1. This was a very large trade. I'm going to be in this probably at least a month, but we'll love seeing this because risk reward, these are already in the money, as I say. So they're already something that could move to the upside with any kind of a move or return towards those low 30s numbers, and that's when I'd probably start thinking about an exit.
John, you're up.
All right, Mel, take a look at this one. Switch, data centers and so forth. Stock's up 27 cents today. And with the stock in the 16-ish range, they come in and they're buying all the way out in February. So February 16 calls, somebody wants to simulate owning stock, basically that at the money call, Mel, all the way out to February. Like the trade, I'm in it. I'll probably be in it about 2 to 3 months. Second trade real quick, Fox. This one is a September trade, 34 strike with the stock at 33.30. They come in buying the 34 strike calls. Like that, they bought about 5,000 of them very quickly. I bought these. I'll probably be in these 2 to 3 weeks, not 2 to 3 months. Quick updates for you, Mel. Take a look at what went on in Keysight, K-E-Y-S, because this one, we talked about it when this was an $88 stock 2 days ago. We said, look at this upside activity. They were buying the 87.50 calls, the 90s, the 92.50s, and so forth. Now with the stock at $100, all of those calls deep in the money. We're not just talking about the 11 or 12% gain in the stock, Mel. We're talking 200 to 500% returns on those options. That's why you trade. Another quick one, NVIDIA, NVDA. Talked about very short-term trade. They bought the weekly 170 calls. Now with the stock today at 170, 165, those calls went from 70 cents last Friday to $3.90 today. We got out of the bulk of ours at about $3 today. But nonetheless, great trade, and most of those have been liquidated and or rolled out to next week, Mel, because people want a little bit more upside out of NVIDIA.
All right, thanks, guys, for that.
Thank
we
you.
were just talking about Tim Cook getting some love from the president, but what's the flip side like? Well, Ford is under fire now from President Trump. The risks and rewards facing CEOs and their stocks. Straight ahead.
Dear Brian and Liz,
There are certain things in life we simply don't talk about, and hemorrhoids are, right up there, so to speak. But we should, because there's 8 million people in the UK right now suffering with piles. If you're one of them like I was, you should speak to Xroid. They're the Harley Street specialists in hemorrhoid treatment. It's a new, fast, gentle, safe and effective procedure for hemorrhoids, with no downtime, and the procedure takes just 30 minutes or less. Consultation and treatment starts from $9.95. Xroid, be kind to your behind. For free advice on hemorrhoids, text KIND to 81156.
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
Make sure you're uni-ready with our huge range of practical essentials and home-from-home comforts and get 10% off for a limited time. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Dunelm, the home of homes.
At Asda, save 25% on a great range of wines when you mix and match any 6 bottles or more. Bring it home with Asda. Save money, live better. Selected lines in selected stores, 75 centilitre and 1.5 litre bottles, £4 and above, excludes gift sets, fortified and meal deal wines, in-store only, excludes Scotland, ends 26th of August 2019, drink aware.
G'day. Hi, it's Marcus from Dudley.
Marco?
Listen, I'm trying online dating for the first time, but no one's swiping right.
No drama, Marco. All you need is a bit of an image upgrade.
Try adding a few props to the old profile pic.
A cute puppy dog.
A book of poetry.
Or an orphan you saved from a knife-wielding shark.
And you might want to delete the bit that says you're looking for an open relationship.
Really?
Yeah, that's a convo you can have on date 3.
Oh, great. I'll give it a go.
No worries.
Foster's. Good call.
Drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.
With OneNet on Vodafone Business, you can make and receive landline calls from your mobile, meaning your office could be here. Or here. Or more likely, here.
Hello, Saunders Designs. How can I help?
Your office can be anywhere with our OneNet virtual landline. Available on our new and limited data plans. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone Business.
Max download upload speeds apply to data. Coverage may vary. Unlimited and OneNet terms at vodafone.co.uk/terms.
President Trump taking aim at another CEO, this time attacking Ford for not backing the administration's plan to roll back Obama-era fuel efficiency rules. It's a delicate balance for CEOs in the Trump economy. Our Eamon Javers joins us from the White House with more on this. Eamon.
Yeah, Melissa, the president's got CEOs that he favors and CEOs who are out of favor here, and that can make a big difference for companies in terms of particular policy outcomes that they want in Washington. Tim Cook, just the latest example. I asked the president yesterday whether he has a better relationship with Tim Cook of Apple than he does with other technology CEOs. And the president says he does because Tim Cook makes it personal. He picks up the phone and calls him. So we sort of built this sliding scale here. Take a look on the screen of the relationships of the president from the best Tim Cook to the worst Jeff Bezos of Amazon. And it's sort of a sliding scale from Tim Cook, who the president praised extensively yesterday, to Marilyn Hewson of Lockheed Martin, who is here a lot at the White House and spends a lot of time. And she, of course, has basically one dominant customer in the Pentagon, which is run by the President of the United States, Safra Catz of Oracle. Then he's shift over. Mary Barra of GM has been in and out of the president's crosshairs over time. The CEO of Ford now being lambasted by the president very frustrated that some of those American automakers not siding with the Trump administration and siding with California on the issue of emissions. And then, of course, Jeff Bezos. The president does not like the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. Therefore, the president does not like Jeff Bezos. Tweets about it all the time. That's about as in the doghouse as you can get for a CEO. And the question is whether there'll be really policy and federal contracting outcomes of that for Jeff Bezos, and whether it means actual bottom line damage for Amazon. We'll wait and see for that.
There could be damage to Bezos. I mean, it doesn't sound like there could possibly be damage, though, to a Jim Hackett. And I'm curious, Amy, because we had that scale all nicely spaced out. But if you had your druthers, would you slide Hackett closer to Bezos or further away from Bezos?
I think you'd slide him a little further away from I don't think anybody's in the doghouse as much as Jeff Bezos. And remember, there is this multi-billion-dollar JEDI contract for federal computing services that's on the line here that Amazon really wants. And some of the competitors, including Oracle, have been trying to make sure that Amazon doesn't get it. The president has called into question whether Amazon should get that contract. Is that personal, or is the president making that decision purely on the policy merits when he calls that contract into question? You know, it's sort of hard to untangle those things because those are in the president's brain. And that's why I think you see a guy like Tim Cook spending so much time focusing on getting into the president's brain and building that relationship, which he's largely done through the family. He's gotten close with Ivanka Trump. He's also developed a relationship, I'm told, with Melania Trump, the First Lady, particularly when they had dinner in Bedminster, New Jersey last week. I'm told the president and Melania Trump really bonded at that dinner over technology and her Be Best campaign. So Cook has been working sort of through the first family into Trump's inner circle, and that's paid some dividends. When I asked the president about Tim Cook yesterday. He said, look, he explained well his situation on tariffs vis-a-vis Samsung, his major competitor.
Right.
And the president said, I'm going to have to do something for him. It remains to be seen what he's going to do, but Apple could get a policy win there because of Tim Cook's dinner table companions.
Eamon, thank you.
Sure,
Eamon Javers. Nice place to be, the inner circle of the first family. But for Ford and for Jim Hackett, would you be concerned about the company and what it could possibly lose, if it could lose anything because of being criticized by the president?
Well, I'd be more concerned about the fits and starts that the stock price has had for Ford. I'd be more concerned about the weakness that's emanating from Europe
the fundamentals
and from
stink.
China. That's where I think you have to be more concerned. I think as it goes back to the comments we had earlier, there was real concern that Apple would be weaponized, and I think that takes this off the table and allows you to have the vision of all the wonderful fundamental stories that are going on about Apple, the company.
Surat?
Well, I do think the auto companies have fallen into this tariff issue, and you have global slowdown. You get, people think of peak auto sales, and now you have what everybody thought, a White House that was supportive of the auto industry, and now you've got another headwind there. So it's very hard for these auto companies to get out of their own way. We're trading at 5 times earnings. I think the stock price is really going to be flat for a
So
little
it would be nice if Jim Hackett and Mary Barra called the White House a little more frequently.
As a shareholder of GM, yes.
Got cozy with the First Lady and Ivanka. Okay. Gold price is pulling back this week, but investors are still betting big on this safe haven play. We got your trade straight ahead.
Only Fidelity offers 4-0 expense ratio index funds.
I can find and fund my car, from a Mini to a Jaguar.
Feel good car buying from findandfundmycar.com is the place where you can find quality used cars from trusted dealers rated by you, and where you can fund your car with finance to fit your budget. It's feel good car buying, all in one place.
Shouldn't be a carry on, choose findandfundmycar.com.
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. Charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
Dad, I'm bored.
Why don't you help me wash the car?
Don't worry, this summer we've got loads of exciting activity ideas to keep the kids entertained without even having to leave London. Make the most of the sunshine and go race paper boats, pick wildflowers, or make a rocket pack out of a cereal box. Look online for Asda Tour de Fun for even more exciting activity ideas. Go discover your fun side with Asda.
Phew! Curry's PC World Mega Deals are hot stuff. You can save up to £150 on Samsung fridge freezers, all with a soothing 5-year guarantee. Starting from just $379 for the RB29. Or upgrade to an American-style model with £150 off the RS8000. And chill in the heat with its water and ice dispenser. A hot mega deal for a cool $999 at Curry's PC World.
G'day. Hi, it's Paul from Grantham.
Pablo?
When are skinny jeans too skinny?
Before you shrink wrap your valuables,
We want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
has your voice gone up an octave in the last 5 minutes?
If you've got your hands in your pockets, might they get trapped?
Do you feel like you're on a TV show called When Denim Attacks?
Well, I do feel a bit like that.
You're wearing them now, aren't you, Pablo?
Mm-hmm.
Trust us. If you ever want little Pablos...
You might want to wear something roomier.
I get it, guys. I'm going to change.
Hooroo!
Foster's. Good call.
Drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.
Welcome back to the Halftime Report. I'm Seema Modi, and this is Futures Now. Gold under pressure today as investors turn their attention to Jackson Hole, where Fed officials are gathered to discuss the next steps for the central bank. Our traders today, Jim Urio and Anthony Grisantini. Anthony, gold has been on a great run this year, and gold ETF holdings are actually at a 6-year high. So what happens if Jerome Powell turns hawkish tomorrow?
Well, I don't think he does, Seema. I think Jerome Powell's in a really tough spot right now, so I don't think he pleases any investors at all. And when he doesn't please, especially equities investors, that means buy gold. You have good support right above 1,500. I would buy it the first time we trade down there because I think this thing works its way back to 1,520.
Okay, Jim, Goldman Sachs sees gold headed to $1,600 over the next 6 months. Do you see a path to those levels?
I agree completely. The strength we saw in early August has been retraced a little bit, but surprisingly little. This consolidation period that we've been in the last couple of days, if it trades 1520 or 1525, to me that'll be a breakout to the upside again, and I think it's game on. Back up to 1590 is my target right about now.
Game on, Jim and Anthony. Thank you. In about 8 minutes' time, our Futures Now show kicks off. We'll have more on how to play Jackson Hole with Chief Investment Officer Jeff Mills, plus much more at 1 p.m. Eastern on futuresnow.cnbc.com. Halftime is back after this.
Futures Now is sponsored by Thinkers.
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. Charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
Dad, I'm bored.
Why don't you help me hang the washing up?
Don't worry, this summer we've got loads of exciting activities to keep the kids entertained. How about you go explore the Rainham Marshes and go tree spotting on the way?
Yay!
Look online for Asda Tour de Fun to find amazing walks here in London. From lakes and logs to forests and woods. All powered by Sustrans, a registered UK charity. Go discover your fun side with Asda.
Make sure you're uni-ready with our huge range of practical essentials and home-from-home comforts and get 10% off for a limited time. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Dunelm, the home of homes.
Phew! Currys PC World Mega Deals are hot stuff. You can save up to £150 on Samsung fridge freezers, all with a soothing 5-year guarantee. Starting from just $379 for the RB29. Or upgrade to an American-style model with £150 off the RS8000 and chill in the heat with its water and ice dispenser. A hot mega deal for a cool $9.99 at Currys PC World.
This summer at Chessington World of Adventures Resort, answer the call of the wild. With over 1,000 of the world's most amazing animals and over 40 of the wildest rides and attractions. Meet the Gruffalo and all your favourite characters at the Gruffalo Summer Party and so much more. Book early and save up to 40% at Chessington.com. It's Britain's wildest adventure for all the family.
G'day.
Hi, it's Paul from Grantham.
Pablo?
When are skinny jeans too skinny?
Before you shrink wrap your valuables,
We want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
has your voice gone up an octave in the last 5 minutes?
If you put your hands in your pockets, might they get trapped?
Do you feel like you're on a TV show called When Denim Attacks?
Well, I do feel a bit like that.
You're wearing them now, aren't you, Pablo?
Mm-hmm.
Trust us. If you ever want little Pablos...
You might want to wear something roomier.
I get it, guys. I'm going to change.
Hooroo!
Foster's. Good call.
Drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.
First up, Mike in New York asks if Cisco, CSCO, is a buy here after earnings, Sarad.
So I'm holding it. I'm not buying it yet. It's down about 11%, trading at a market multiple. The call basically said things are going to be a little slow for the next 2 quarters, so probably wait a little bit before it comes down to get a market pullback, then I'd buy it.
All right, next up, Brandon in Georgia wants to know if now's a good time to buy Zoetis. Carrie, you actually own it.
We own it and have for a while. So, Brandon, the stock is up 60% year to date. So it might not be the perfect time to add a new position, but it's a great company. It's in the veterinary healthcare business, so they're safe so far from any pressure on pricing. And they've been growing the franchise, and we think it's a great company, but perhaps a little bit on the expensive side.
All right, we got your final trade straight ahead on the half.
Family
family taco night is a heartburn night you can plan for.
The whole family will have fun exploring much more than history at the Hampton Court Palace Food Festival this August bank holiday. Discover hand-picked produce and the tastiest street food, along with pop-up bars and restaurants serving cuisine from all around the world. There's cookery shows, talks and book signings by chefs and experts, along with live music and children's entertainment in the Palace Gardens. Hampton Court Palace Food Festival, August bank holiday weekend. Come on, give your taste buds a treat this bank holiday.
As he turned the corner, it hit him. A smell so sweet, orchestral masterpieces could be composed about it. But what could it be? He had to find out. So with his nose leading the way, he wandered towards the paradise. He turned a corner and stopped. What lay before him was the most beautiful sight he could ever have imagined. A new bakery. And to think, he'd never have come across it had he taken the car. Walk, cycle, discover. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
The biggest cat in the world was longer than a cricket bat. Think that's big? This Friday, the Euro Millions jackpot is an enormous £91 million. 91 million! Now that's big.
Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Amazing starts here.
Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
If your old faithful fridge freezer is broken or on the blink again, relax. At AO, we have a huge range jam-packed with the latest technology to keep your weekly favourites fresher than ever. Plus, there's great deals on top brands like Hisense, LG and Whirlpool, with finance options available. AO.com, the online electrical store. AO! Let's go! Credit is subject to status, must be over 18. AO Retail Limited is a broker and not a lender. Credit is provided by Secure Trust Bank PLC, trading as V12 Retail Finance.
Hello, I'm with Boots Hearing Care. He's straining to hear me from the background noise. You're experiencing what it's like to have hearing loss. If you've experienced this before in a busy restaurant or pub, you should get your hearing checked. A discreet hearing aid can help you follow conversation more easily by filtering